Happy Saturday. This is my first kid-free afternoon in quite a while, so my intention was to be on here a lot more, but that's just not life right now. So I wanted to take some time today and talk about something that I use in order to stay like emotionally grounded and not swept away in the craziness that's happening right now. I know there's so much, I don't even want to get on here and talk about, coronavirus and COVID-19 because it's just like in our faces so much. Like it is everything. But it's everything. So, what I wanted to talk about today is I've noticed a lot of frustration and a lot of frustration with other people. There's a lot of I was listening to a conversation the other day, people getting mad about, people in grocery stores just going to grab a few things. And, there was somebody else was telling me about, this whole Facebook thread that was going on about people being really mad about these 6 kids playing outside. And we all feel sort of this sense that we have lost control, right? That nothing makes sense. And it's not necessarily a conscious feeling, but it's definitely a subconscious feeling. And we all want to sort of regain some control. And one default way that our brains do that is to sort of look around and see what everybody else is doing. Because if we can get mad at them, then it's not us that's out of control. It's the society. It's all these other things. So there's this idea of generous thought. And that is something that I implore in my life all the time because I don't want to feel anger and negativity and frustration and fear and all those things. I don't want to feel that because if I'm mad at you, right, you don't feel my anger. I do. That's an emotion that I carry. When we're mad, when we're jealous, when we're whatever negative emotion that we have that we're directing at other people, the other people aren't the ones feeling it, we are. So when we're walking through the grocery store, which we're at also, right? And we're looking around and we're judging everybody and we're mad, or we're on social media and we're looking what all these other people are doing and we're like, why are you doing that? Why are you putting lives at risk? And we get so mad and so frustrated. Do you think that anybody that you're thinking these thoughts about or, commenting on your social media about is going to change because you're feeling frustrated at them? Probably not. And even if you were to go to their face and be like, look, I think you're making a bad decision. I think this is not appropriate. I think you shouldn't be doing this. That isn't how we get people to change. That isn't how it works. I mean, if you think about somebody coming up to you and yelling at you and telling you what you're doing is wrong, your automatic reaction is to get defensive and in your mind, it clicks in and your mind starts thinking about all the ways that you're right and they're wrong, right? It's that defensiveness. So the idea of generous thoughts is if I'm walking through a grocery store and I see somebody who's just getting a few items, or I see these kids out on the playground that are playing, I get to choose the story that I tell myself, because especially in these circumstances, we don't know what the truth is, right? Our minds are just telling us stories. And I have tried over the last several years, especially, to train my brain to think positive stories because I like how that makes me feel. It has nothing to do with anybody else. It's how I feel. So if I'm walking around and I'm seeing like, oh, those kids are probably siblings or maybe cousins that live together. Like, isn't that great that these kids get to play when so many others don't? Or I'm in the grocery store and I'm thinking like, oh, those guys only have 5 items in their cart. It's probably because they're just getting the bare essentials, the last few things that they need, and they're set, or, and this doesn't just apply to pandemics. This applies to everyday life. We get to choose how we see the world around us. We're making up stories whether we want to or not all the time. We see people, we automatically tell ourselves a story about them, and depending on where we are emotionally, it can be a positive story or a negative story, but generally the story that we tell is a reflection of how we're feeling about ourselves, which is a whole nother layer we can get into later. But my challenge for you this week to add, to let go and to release some of the negativity that we're carrying around, especially because we're living in these times of fear and uncertainty, is to look around and to tell yourself positive stories about people. Not because they deserve it, not because you're benefiting their lives or you're giving them a gift, but because it will make you feel better. And when you feel better, for one, it increases your immunity, right? Stress and frustration and anger, all of those negative things decrease our immune system. I'm sure if you Google the science on there, it's out there, but I know that that's true. But when we get to be calm and we get to be grounded and we get to have positive thoughts and we get to look at the ways that we can help and we get to sort of look through this lens of community coming together, of whatever you want to see is out there. And I would challenge you this week to go throughout the day looking for the good, and if you see a lot of negativity on your social media and the news, stop watching it. Find your sources of information from places that are less sensationalized and more just grounded in fact, so that you're not, the news media, their job is to create emotion in you. That's the point. So they're giving you information in a way that is meant to get you all riled up. So you choose if you want that or not. I don't know if that was helpful. My brain has been in just survival mode lately, so I don't know if I was very articulate there. But this really, throughout, even before pandemic, and I'm sure long after, this is something that I consciously work on all of the time, because I just don't have time in my life to feel judgmental and angry and frustrated at people. I've gotten to this place where I don't like feeling that. I don't want to carry it around. And so I choose generous thoughts. And if it's a person I know, I check in with them, even outside of pandemic, say you call someone, they don't call you back, and your automatic reaction is to tell yourself a story about why they didn't call back. Oh, they don't like me. They're mad at me. They don't care about me, whatever. We can choose a generous thought like, oh, they must be really busy right now. And then you can check in with them and you can say, hey, how's everything going? I noticed you haven't gotten back to me. I just want to make sure everything's all right. And that energy is so much different. And it makes me feel, I don't spiral, right? I don't spiral down the rabbit hole of negativity, because if I'm thinking those negative thoughts, then it creates negative behavior for me. And all of a sudden I'm mean to that friend that didn't return my phone call or whatever. So I hope that makes sense. Reach out to me if it doesn't. I love talking about these things. If there's a topic you want to talk about more, private message me and let me know, because I obviously like talking. And if you ever want to come on and talk about a topic with me, I would love that. I've been looking for some people to have discussions with, so I don't just have to hear my own voice. So anyway, as always, like, share, follow, all the things. And I hope you're surviving. I hope you're doing okay. We're all going to get through this. It's all going to be okay. I promise. Okay, talk to you next time.